What evil lurks in the dark? A question we have all asked ourselves many times. Together, we can start uncovering the truth and mystery behind the darker side of the otherworldly. And now your host of See You in the Dark, Michelle Roos.
Good evening, all, and thank you for joining me for another episode of See You in the Dark. My guest tonight, Brittney Bickett, is unable to join us due to being pretty ill. So we will be bringing her on a later date. We were going to do a show tonight talking about demons and are they real? I'm not sure if some of you guys remember, but I did a show a while back on a weekend that we had with some of the paranormal investigations we were having, but some of the things that were coming up. It ended up getting really dark, and we were trying to figure out, are we dealing with something that is more on the demonic side, or are we dealing with an actual negative entity that was trying to scare us and take us off a trail that we were actually following. So I won't talk too much about that tonight because the story itself will actually give you chills. It messes with us, having some nightmares about it, trying to figure out, what were we dealing with. We talk a lot about calling everything demonic, demons, and like I've always said, we try not to give too much energy to those types of words. We constantly use a lot of our energy to try to figure out and make sense of the things that could be going on around us. Do I believe that there's demons out there? I absolutely do. Have I thought I've been in front of them and have dealt with some of the dark stuff with them? Absolutely, I have. But at the same time, just like the, journey that we went on that weekend, we started having to think, what are we dealing with? When we start going straight to the demonic, we start missing some of the other parts of the story. Is it something that's even worse? Because you got to remember, one, demons do not like us, but they don't have time to sit and, worry about talking to us over any type of ghost apps or things like that. What I do believe is if there is spirits around, they actually are giving you, those signs, hey, there's something here, watch yourself, things like that. When we start hearing things coming over any spirit boxes or anything we have, it's always been, my impression that if you're catching a name and it's telling you it's a demon, then it's not a demon because now you got something trying to play with you and trying to scare you and things like that. But then again, when I say that, think about it. Is it really a demon? And because we have gone through our lives hearing that, the only way a demon is gone is when it gives its name, it loses its power, and only, those of the holy side is the ones that can get that. So when we talk about these stories, we all go down this rabbit hole of, okay, this is what we've always been told, so this can be the only truth. Maybe we have started looking at these things and are going, you know what? What if that isn't the only truth? Everything evolves. We evolve. Anything that we're coming next to evolves. So, what if some of these demons that we're thinking of actually are to the point of, I can give you my name. It's not going to make me any weaker because, you are of human and we're still going to be stronger than you. And as I was talking to Brittney at this point, when we were talking about our journey and all that, We did talk about going back and forth. Are we really dealing with something this real? We all have our own demons. They all are created in some shape, form, whether it's the stuff that we're going through life or, the things that are surrounding us that can actually bring this negative energy to feed on to start creating these so-called demons. Or are we actually making these demons come to us and we're actually feeding them and they're not being self-manifested? Again, we have been told for so long when it comes to paranormal shows, social media, only things can happen if it makes sense. You have people out there that'll tell you there's no such things as demons. They've never existed. You guys don't know what you're talking about. Well, when you hear this all the time, people start pulling back because they don't want to hear that because they don't want something that evil to be true. But are we hurting ourselves because of it? Are we constantly trying to make an excuse to fit in the box that everyone has for us, that we're missing real signs that are happening? We talk about people who are saying they get pinned down when they're sleeping. Well, everybody in the paranormal world and outside the paranormal sleep paralysis because that's the only thing that supposedly it is. But at what point do you have proof that's what that is? We keep shoving a lot of this to the side. We keep putting ourselves in these boxes of, if I don't think the way they think, then it can't be true. But at this point in our lives, we have to start thinking outside that box. Things are going on around us that we can't control, and we can't always make an excuse for it. And if we keep making excuses, is that when we become a victim? I go back and forth on these because, I am that one of trying to make sense of what can it be. Now, I do know for a fact that there is very negative energy out there, and it can mimic anything that could be demonic, and it can bring you down and oppress you just like if you had an attachment of a demon. But we can't rule out either side because what if that negative energy is part of that demonic pool? But because if you start saying it, everybody wants to be like, oh my God, don't say demons. Well, we have to say demons because it is one of those things. It's a negative entity. We can say negative entity constantly, but don't we want to put it in its wheelhouse where it belongs so we know how to deal with it? Do we want to constantly think about, well, I know we walk a fine line of mental illness or sleep paralysis or other things that are going on in your life. And then we're finding out, it was probably even more than that. We go around in these circles, especially social media. Everybody's trying to outdo everybody on social media. Who's getting the most likes? Who's getting this? Oh my God, there's a lot of drama out there. So I'm going to get on that bandwagon so then I can get more things happening. Well, that right now is telling you that you're going down this one path because we can't save the world if we're not going to tell the truth why we're trying to save the world. The negativity has gotten so bad in society that we have awakened more negative energy than we have positive. Now, there is a lot of good people out there, and they are genuinely trying to help people. And I will give them 100% props for it. But at the same time, when we start putting ourselves in those situations, we are now starting to open a darker side. And that darker side on the spiritual side is more dangerous than what would be on the physical. You got to remember we have to protect our spirits inside of us more than our outer shell. Because if you cut yourself, you can put a band aid on it. But if you cut your spirit on the inside, there's no band aid. And one tear will lead to another and to another and to another. And when you start having those tears, that negative energy will actually find its way inside. And that's when we start talking about the oppression and how it starts messing with you mentally. And that mental side of everything, you got to remember, can put you on that fine line of should it be medicated or are you in a spiritual warfare at this moment and you need to figure out which way to go. Again, when we talk about all these kind of things, there are so many different reasons of how we title things of being negative energy, demons, and things like that. I remember talking to a church one time, and we were talking, asking about angels and demons. And this church actually had stated they believe in demons, but not angels. So now you've put this in this perspective. You've got somebody in a church that is supposed to preach to you about the words of God and will constantly put you down because everything is demonic, but then at the same time will not give you the angelic side of things. And that goes right along with our daily lives. We're out every day trying to just survive. All of us are. And we're all trying to survive on an emotional side. And now again, we're starting to rip and tear more inside our spiritual side because we're giving and doing everything we're told. We're following as though we're just a whole bunch of sheep because everybody's afraid to move out of that little flock to see, is there something else? Are we literally getting attacked by real demons, but we're afraid to talk about it because we're afraid of what people might think? We talk about things, in the aspect of how do you protect yourself? Is there a real protection out there for us? Is there something that is just like if you buy a bottle of Tylenol, it gets rid of your headache? Is it a one bottle fits all? Or is this where we're getting tested, where we have to step up and say, we need to find out what our bottle of Tylenol is? I, go back and forth with you guys here because it starts making my brain like really hurt. Um, to say, all of this is happening because there's so much hate. Well, there's always been hate. If you go through history, I don't think there's ever been a real time where everybody actually loved each other. And that is because we all have that free will. But remember, the demons have free will too. So is this spiritual warfare that everybody talks about? We talk about it all the time, but nobody gets into it. Nobody gives a definition of what that could be. We're only going to say so much so this way people don't call you out or you don't get hate comments or people don't want to throw your name out there like, oh my God, this person is just crazy. At what point do we stop worrying about what people think and start putting this out there so we can actually help people? I know a lot of people that are struggling so bad. I know people that will swear up and down their life depended on it, that they have some kind of attachment that is demonic. But they're afraid to talk about it because they don't want to get locked up or they don't want to be taking all these pills because that's the first thing that gets thrown at you. So, why is it okay that we can go on social media or through everything and bash people and be very negative and hateful and ruin people's lives? And then that's okay. But when you come out and say, I have a real struggle, I think I really have an attachment, I think something is hurting me, and that is not accepted. We have to start looking at this as these things could be real. These things are probably doing what they're doing, and we got to stop giving it excuses of other things that it could be. Because I feel at this point where we're at as a society, that if we don't start looking at why we might be having this, or because it doesn't follow a book or what people are saying out there, that it cannot be real. I mean, fairies are real, gnomes are real, UFOs are real. But as soon as you talk about a demon, it's like, oh God, that's not real. They don't exist. Now, will I tell you they're probably few and in between because they don't have time to mess with us? Yeah, I can tell you that. But in the state that all of us are we actually getting these conjured up more and more than what they were before? Have we ever stopped to think about that? When you have families and friends or so-called friends that will sit there and try to undermine you or try to think they can be better than you or walk over you and think that it's not being seen, well, that's pretty devilish to me. So, with that kind of personality that these people have, of pretending that they care for you or pretending that they love you, but yet behind your back, they're just pulling everything out under you. I feel like that is being influenced by something that is not something good. We sit and talk about how, we put something on social media and everybody jumps on it. Let's be on this bandwagon, good, bad, or indifferent. But when you're feeding all that negativity, are we conjuring something up saying, okay, here is the cesspool, let's bring something up? And the weakest of all of them will be the one getting attacked. Are we even allowed to say that? Is it politically correct? We keep catching ourselves that we all want to say the truth. We all want to be out there and say things, but we're all terrified to stand up and say, you know what? You might be the demon, or you are the one that is causing all this hell to open up. Because if you say something, you will end up having your name dragged through the mud. You might be the one getting then attacked yourself, and there's no one there to hold you up. So, do I believe there's real demons? I absolutely do. Do I believe and seen the negative stuff that I've seen? I absolutely do. Because I've seen it, I've been watching it. I have been seeing people just be the most evil demons I have ever seen. And then there is no army of good that's coming behind it. There's always a one or a two person because everybody's afraid to speak up. Because why? It might mess up your 5 minutes of fame. That to me is demonic. That to me is what eats and tears every piece of us and starts opening up that cesspool of things coming at us, and now we're conjuring the real demons. And when it's close to home, you think about it, you're trying to do something, you think people's got your back, but you know that you're getting undermined, constantly, or put in a situation where you start doubting yourself because you don't think you're on that level. Well, right there is the tear they can come in. And that does start causing the sleep paralysis, which is having that demon come at night and hold you down and pretty much drain you of every energy you have because it's gotten a way in. Because that positive piece that actually protects your spirit is getting shredded like putting cheese on a grater. And we all allow it. We all don't say anything because, again, if we do, what's that going to make us look like? So I say it again. Do I believe in demons? I do. And I know there's a lot of people out there that do. Do I believe that they should be blamed for every little single thing that happens in your life? No. Because again, remember, we have free will. We can push that to the side. We can stand up for ourselves. We can say, this is not for me. You need to go away. You can do however you want. You don't have to have a certain religion to do all this. But what you do need to have is have the power in yourself to push it away. Self-doubt, feeling like you're not worth anything. That is going to be the worst part for you because we all go through it. It's a natural thing for all of us. If I don't get enough people to comment or like or stand behind me, am I really worth it? Those are your own demons, which is fed through everything else. Is there an actual healing mechanism that can heal everybody? Maybe. But maybe it's time that we look into ourselves to see, how do we stop this? How do we get that out there? How do we make this change? We'll come right back after this brief message.
The Onyx Network presents a health and wellness spiritually based brand of hemp-derived CBD products made by Hopewell Farm in Harrogate, Tennessee. We apply our Cathara energy work with all of our plants and products. Our products made in small batches with only 2 ingredients of pure hemp, full spectrum crude oil, and coconut-derived MCT oil. Third-party lab tested for potency and legal THC levels with 6 strengths of 1 ounce oil to choose from. Know what you're buying and get what you pay for from Hopewell Farm. Applied directly to a specific area, Hopewell Farm topical salve in 1 ounce and ½ ounce sizes made with pure hemp crude oil, comfrey extract, and all natural ingredients. Find the Hopewell Farm link and coupon code on the Onyx Network website at onyxnetwork.com. That's onyxnetwork.com.
Debbie Ziegelmeyer is an experienced diver, dive trainer, and UFO investigator who has researched sites around the world that have water-related UFO activity. We now know that even the Pentagon admits that there are unknown objects in the skies and underwater around the world. Debbie compiled an amazing book to catalog many of these sightings. The Alien Colonization of Earth's Waterways, a reference guide to UFO, USO, water-related activity, has received rave reviews by UFO researchers and the public. The book is available at Amazon.com.
While most near-death experiencers return to this plane of existence with alluring tales of their time spent in the presence of the divine, what happens when one crosses the veil into the afterlife, into the void? In the new book, Dying to Meet Them, Mindy Toutfest describes her journey to the afterlife after a devastating aneurysm, how a strange turn of events would lead her to spiritual growth, divine healing, UFO experiences, and a greater understanding of the universe. Get your copy of Dying to Meet Them today at Amazon.com or visit unxmedia.com for more information on this book and more amazing selections from UnX Media Publishing at unxmedia.com.
And welcome back. We've kind of been just going down this, I guess, all these corners of, are demons real? Or are they self-manifested through us? You know, we talk about different things that could, create some of these entities to take over us. And yes, I believe they are out there. I know there's entities out there that will just wreak havoc on people. It will make them feel like they're living in hell. And there's proof out there because of it. And I also believe, because I've seen it, that if there was a human spirit that was so nasty in life, that the spirit they leave behind is going to be nothing but a dark, dark void of a thing that is nastier than the person was when they were alive. And that kind of makes you wonder, are they on that realm of being considered a demon? Because what they do sometimes is even worse. They can cause physical harm, mental harm, spiritual harm. So are those the ones that are really the demons? I mean, we've always heard you have your League of Demons, you've got your fallen angels. So, are they two separate or are they the same? These are the things that I ponder on, because with some of the actions that they do and some of the fear that they put into us, because it is the unknown, it makes you wonder, are they really the same? Or are they considered the separate? I mean, when we talk about our self-manifested type of demons, the heaviness that we feel, the dread that we feel, the self-doubt, the anger, the stuff that we do in life itself, is that really part of our spirit that is the darker side of us? Because remember, we have to have balance. And I believe that in us too. We have a good and a bad. And it just depends on what you're going to bring out the most. And I feel like that's in everything that we have. So is that kind of part of some of the demon inside of us? Or is that just a name we give it because we can't make sense of why we would be that way? And again, just like I talked about the bottle of Tylenol, it doesn't work for everybody. So where do we go to find ourselves to say, how do I balance my own spirit? Because I'm a really good person, but something really bad has happened, and so it brings another side of me out. How do I not lose that good part of it? And you have to remember, you won't lose that good part because you're in control of both. We have the dark and we have the light. Does that mean we're angelic and demonic? See, people don't think of those kind of things because we're going to blame demons because we don't want to take blame for ourselves, because we don't want to use that type of verbiage. But honestly, is that something that is really what we have? And as we pass on and our spirits are here, the one that was the strongest, is that the one it's showing? We talk about shadow people. We talk about places that we've might have investigated, that we've seen darker things, but because people don't want that word out there, other people are bringing in more, and it just keeps growing and growing, just like a virus. But it's also doing that within ourselves. When we talk about people who, you know, are doing things for themselves, you're called selfish, or you're just a fame seeker, things like that. But are we really? Or are we kind of waking up and saying, no, this is how it has to be, because you can't count on anybody else? But then when you feel that way, you're like, okay, I'm depressed, or I'm not feeling myself. I think I have an attachment that's demonic. But do you really? Or is that the part of your spirit that's overtaking the other part? Again, do I believe in demons? I do. Do I believe in negative and dark entities? I do. I believe in those more because they show their true selves compared to people that are on the outside. Can anybody who's listening look in the mirror and say to themselves, people are seeing the real me? And you have to be honest with yourself. Are they seeing the real you? Do you have that little bit of a mean streak that you try to hide and it just keeps growing inside of you? That when it does come out and manifest, it manifests in something just god awful that you can't even control. Because that's something we don't do. We can't look in the mirror and say things to make ourselves feel better. We can put ourselves down, but we can't make ourselves, rise ourselves up. Being the humans we are, we need love. We need to be liked. We need to be wanted. And when you don't feel like you're getting that, that's when that little demon comes out. Why are people not liking me the way I want them to? Why am I not getting this? And it starts festering, and then it actually comes to the outside, not just the inside. And now you have created your own monster. And now it's wreaking havoc on you. It is picking you apart. It is trying to make you and just eat every piece of your soul until the real demons can come and then try to take it. When you talk about learning demonology and things like that, the biggest thing you always learn is there's only three ways of what, the demons do. Your infestation, the part of starting to make noises, starting to mess with you so you start feeling, you know, uneasy, trying to figure out what's going on. And then they talk about oppression, where you start self doubting everything you're doing. You don't want to be around people because now it's trying to isolate you and trying to do all these things. And then, of course, the possession itself, which I will tell you are a lot more rare than what people put out there. And I will stand by that wholeheartedly and take anybody on because, again, this is free will. And they're going to mess with you and mess with you and mess with you until you give in. And a lot of people won't go that far. And the sad part is they'll take themselves before they would give themselves. So I will tell you, I've never been out there to do thousands of exorcisms. So it kind of blows my mind when I see that. But again, is it because learning this stuff and the three things I've just told you is the only thing that could possibly be possible? Because that's all that's said in my mind. So thousands of exorcisms are being done. Could that really be the truth? But because of what I was taught, I can't see past that. Because when you hear those kind of things, you're kind of like, well, there's no way. Why would thousands of people just give themselves like that? It doesn't seem real. But you know what? It could so be real. And constantly hearing the demon names, you only hear the same names over and over again. I'm going to say they're probably pretty tired because it's always the same demons. Is that because that's the only names that we have ever been told? Even though there are the legions of 72 and the 12 of the biggest ones, because we have watched TV and we've only heard certain things, is that all we're going to recognize? Are we missing that bigger picture? Are we just being taught what we are supposed to know and everything else you're not supposed to know? I mean, you think about it, that comes along just like with people. People only let you know what they want you to know because we never really know them. We don't know what's hidden behind their closed doors. So maybe it's that way too when we're talking the demonic families. They owe us nothing. So why would they come out and tell us everything we need to know? Why would they give us the stuff that could actually beat them? And I know about holy water. I know praying the deliverance. I know all of that. I've seen it. I know them. But with so many people in the world and the demons are all over, is that really the only way to get rid of them? Or is there more? And maybe they are giving us their real names and we're just not listening. It's something that you should actually really sit back and think about. You know, we are programmed to know things and do things. We're programmed to get up in the morning. We're programmed to go to work. We pay the bills. We eat dinner, lunch, breakfast, and we become these robotic people of doing all this that when we even barely try to open our mind to think, hey, wait a minute, we're missing a big picture here. And then when you start going out on that big picture, you run right back because there are things out there that this just can't be true. I'm losing my mind. The crazy thing is, I think about this stuff a lot. I try to stay very positive. I try to keep my energy vibrations up because my free will is you're not going to get me. And it'll stay that way because I can't help anyone if I'm not helping myself. And maybe that free will is you taking that time for yourself so you're not put in a situation like that. And maybe if you are having those attacks or things are happening to you, don't be scared of it, but try to figure out what it is, and then let's try to defeat it. Because we get scared, we end up cowering down, and we expect everybody else to do that work. But what if we help them do that work? Because you got to remember, when we're talking about exorcisms, we're talking about expelling something. But you can't expel something unless the person who you're trying to help is willing to do it also. And that actually comes to with our everyday lives. If we have that balance in between ourselves, we should be able to have that strength to expel what we don't want there. I don't think we have to go through all the channels of a church to do that. I believe we could all do it. I don't think you have to be that priest to make it happen because you're in charge of your own spirit. You're in charge of what you're supposed to be doing. So, do we take charge of that and start looking at how do I protect my own spirit? We go to the dentist, we have physicals, we do everything for our physical body. Maybe it's time we start doing that on our spiritual body because we're letting that be torn up like it's nothing, like it's worth nothing. And to be honest, that's what our physical body is trying to protect. So if you do think that you have an attachment or there's that negativity that you're trying to help or get rid of, why don't we learn how to expel it ourselves? Why don't we step up and say, you know what, we're ready for this fight? If you're a negative entity or even somebody with negative energy, let's expel it. Because there's no handbook out there that says you have to keep all of that. There is no handbook that says you have to be tortured on both a physical, spiritual, or mental state. So maybe this is something that, it comes to the point where, hey, this is my free will. This is what I am supposed to be doing. This is what was probably told to us by those angels that a lot of people don't believe in to say, you can do this. Just because we bleed doesn't mean we can't fight what we don't see. Maybe we should be fighting for each other. Maybe we should be standing together. But if it's something that will not give somebody all those likes, will they actually stand up for you? Probably not. Could it mess up their 5 minutes of fame? Okay, they're not going to stick up for you. And if you're hearing me, you can see that's how this becomes a thing. So maybe that is where we are our own soldiers. We are our own demon slayers. We're the ones that take it up. Maybe we should speak out. If you're at a location or if you're somewhere and something bad's there and it could do some harm down the road, maybe not that night, to protect your own spirit so it doesn't come with you, to protect that piece of you, say something. Doesn't mean you have to come out public with it or make a big scare, but at least voice it. If you know that you're getting hurt, if you know that people just want to be around you if you have something to offer them, that right there is an attack too. And the more you take that in, all right, Expel it. Get rid of it. Why let those demons take you over? We have all the power in ourselves, and you can grab on to anything that you believe in. If you're a person who prays, then pray. If you're a person that is more on the spiritual side and you want to call in gods and goddesses, do it. If you're a person that just knows you have control of your own inner self, do it. Is no wrong way of doing it. The only wrong way of doing it is not having the intentions of protecting your spirit. That's it. Some of you guys might need extra strength Tylenol. Some might take 2, some might need 4. But that is where the intention of that comes. We have to know that we're not going to ever save the world. That's our free will. Everybody can have any thoughts they want. Some people will believe in demons, some won't. Some will fight you tooth and nail about it. But that's okay, because they have to deal with that on their own personal side. You only have control of yours. You have your balance. So find your light and make sure you're taking care of that. Sometimes our spirit needs chicken noodle soup too. And we have to start thinking of that. Do I believe in demons? I'm going to say it loudly. Yes, I do. Do I believe the demons have evolved and they're now showing more of what they are? I absolutely do. Do I believe that maybe they're actually telling us their real names because the more we say their name gives them more power and that's what they know? I do. I can't stand and hide anymore because I'm afraid that, something might not go right for me. But what's not going right for me is constantly keeping my mouth closed and not telling people who I am, what I believe in, how I act and do things. But that is why my spirit was getting kind of shredded. And it's to the point now I can't do that anymore because I'm not going to be able to help anyone if they ever called me, especially when I have my own self-doubt. So my healing has to come there, because if I heal myself, I can become a voice for those who don't have a voice. And again, are demons real? Only you can answer that one. I can tell you what I believe, but you got to believe in what you believe. And if you feel like there's demons or negative energy more than there is good spirits out there, which I honestly believe there is, I believe we're putting names on them because we don't want people to know. Do I believe there's good spirits out there? Absolutely, I do. I think they pop in and out. But sometimes I just feel like that we just need to stand up and just say, you know what? No, this is not good. This is bad. And here's the only way we can take care of it. We can sit and preach about taking care of your fellow man. How are you going to do that when you can't look in a mirror and be truthful about yourself? Because now you're just taking what your negativity is and your stuff and putting it on someone else. And I'm probably going to get off my soapbox now. Little joke there, lighten up the mood. But before we leave tonight, I want everyone to understand we are in control of ourselves. We can expel anything we want. We can heal any way we want. You have that control. And so you need to make sure that you take that control, because nothing good's going to come out of you hiding that and keep trying to add other people's problems onto yours. Because what's going to happen, there's going to come a point that you're not going to be able to help yourself and you're not going to be able to help anyone else. So really, everybody just become their own exorcist. I mean, that's just kind of the bottom line. But also make sure you stand up and say what's right for you. Are you going to lose people all along the way? Absolutely. But if you're losing them on the way, you know they were never really there for you. And that's what we all need to start looking at. Because nobody's going to make you famous except yourself. And the only way you're going to make yourself famous is if you're true to yourself. So we come back down to, I probably have said it now 20, 30 times. Somebody will at least keep count. Are demons real? That is a question you can ask yourself, and you can put it together in any way you want. But just remember, love yourself, protect your spirit, and don't let anybody ever make you feel like you're not worth something because you don't think like they do. Again, thank you tonight. I am sorry that we didn't have our guest, but I hope that maybe just one of you have taken a little bit of what I've said tonight and might make a change for yourself. And maybe let's all get together and start looking outside that box. Maybe these demons are more real, and maybe they are trying to get to us a lot harder than they used to. And maybe there's more out there than what we actually thought. Keep that in mind as you're kind of navigating through life right now. I want to take a moment just to thank you all for listening. We're going to have a guest next week, which I'm excited about. I want to thank you all for supporting me and listening to my soapbox things. And just letting you know, I'm sending you all love and light. Actually, I'm just sending you guys lots of love. I want you to find your own light. Excuse me, got a little choked up there. Because we all are light, so find yours. But I am truly, when I say I'm sending you love, I truly am. And until next time, I will see you in the dark.